All right, guys, we are back with another Kill Rationalism video. Thank you guys so much for continuing to watch. I really do appreciate the time. This is going to be a very, very, very quick video, at least compared to my standards. We're going to be talking about efficient logic versus deficient logic. And I think the reason it's going to be quick is because it's more or less a summary of what we've been describing here in this series, but I think there's a benefit to hearing it in the way that I'm about to describe it. So, of course, I'm reading, sort of getting close to finishing up The Ever-Present Origin by Jean Gebser, of course, and I realize, thanks to him, that it's a very simple and effective way of describing efficient logic versus deficient logic, and I think you can describe it fairly quickly. Now, remember what Gebser reminds us in that book, that rationality ultimately operates in diurnal waking consciousness. Now, diurnal waking consciousness is consciousness that happens in the clarity of light, if you will. It is very difficult to be rational when you're dreaming, when you're knocked out cold by Kimbo Slice, or when you're, I don't know, playing a football game or something. By the way, I have no notes, so if this video isn't quite as effective, I apologize for that, but I don't think I need it. So when you're being rational, you're awake, you're conscious. If you're dreaming, there's all this weird mythical stuff going on. Consciousness is very dimly lit. That's mythical structure. And then the pre-rational, that's magic structure. That's complete darkness. But rationality operates in an illumination, if you will, and rationality in turn illuminates. So efficient logic is important because it illuminates the natural order of the world and allows us to participate in that order. Repeat for emphasis. Efficient logic illuminates the natural order of the world and allows us to participate in said order. This efficient logic transcends the ego, the personal, the I, the sense of what I want, the personal desires, wishes, whims, self-images, stuff like that. Efficient rationality transcends that. And that's why we get all these we get all the benefits from it, right? Science, mathematics, basic discursive thought. There is a beauty to illuminating and participating in that natural order. Now, of course, rationality is only effective insofar as it actually does illuminate this natural order and allows us to participate in it, which is to say it's only effective insofar as it corresponds to reality, but once you meet that threshold, it's a pretty amazing thing. Now, of course, we're in 4D consciousness, so it's not the only thing, but nonetheless, I would argue 4D consciousness, you can't really have space-time without space, and space obviously goes to rationality. So, efficient logic illuminates and makes clear. Great. What do you think deficient logic does? So deficient logic does the exact opposite. It obscures. It darkens what should be illuminated. It shrouds in darkness the light. You don't want that because rationality is supposed to illuminate the world and provide knowledge. But if you're using rationality to obscure the world in pursuit of ignorance, that's not efficient rationality, my friend. That is deficient rationalism. So, let me see. Deficient logic or rationality is a subject of or is dependent upon the ego rather than efficient logic that we just covered. Remember, that transcends the ego. Deficient logic is a slave to the ego. You don't want this, all right? It obscures, it darkens what should be enlightened. It makes it so we are more ignorant than we have knowledge. Now, in a certain sense, that's not necessarily a bad thing because if you employ it in areas where it doesn't belong, art, myth, pre-rationality, irrationality, stuff like that, well, okay, because it's never going to illuminate because of its inherent deficiencies. Fine, but that's wholly separate. Obviously, there is a whole world of applicability for rationality, whether it be in discursive thought, just kind of common sense stuff, architecture, math, science, all this great stuff, right? So it's one thing to not illuminate the mythical world because you're never going to get there. It's one thing to not illuminate the spiritual world because you're never going to get there. It's a whole nother thing to not illuminate basic logic, science, basic discursive thought. You don't want that, right? So that's the difference between efficient and deficient logic. One illuminates where the other obscures. One confers knowledge where the other confers ignorance. One transcends the ego where the other is a slave to the ego. Now, I don't have any notes or anything, but we'll just run through some quick examples that I can think of off the top of my head right now. So, of course, this applies in many different domains and areas of life. So there's a political element to this. There's an apolitical element to this. There's a cultural element to this. There is an international element to this. There is a individual element to this. You see this a lot in individuals. So politically, you see this all the time, right? So the left and the right do this all the time. And obviously there's more to the world than just the left and the right. You got your libertarians, your anarchists, your Green Party, all that stuff. Yeah, that's nice. In America in 2025, the two big dogs are the left and the right, so we're going to talk about them. The left does this all the time nowadays. So you've just one quick obvious example is this, some of the philosophy backing, for lack of a better term, trans ideology. I mean, I know that's not the best term, but I don't know what else to call it. Don't get lost on that. Let's just put it this way. The idea that there are no biological differences between males and females is absurd on its face. It is deficient rationalism. You are using logic to obscure, not to illuminate. It's very simple, actually. No amount of word games is ever going to change the fact that men, generally speaking, are going to have biological advantages, and any biological advantages are going to be conferred by their sex, not necessarily their gender, where there's a little more wiggle room. I'm fine with that. But the idea that males and females are the exact same in terms of their biological constitution, that's deficient magic structure, baby. That's a false equating that only a deficient magic structure do. That will never happen. So it's funny because on one hand, you have guys like Matt Dillahunty, who is like a hyper-rationalist atheist, illuminating the scientific world and doing so to cut the heights of the heaven and say, no, it's just the terrestrial sphere. No, look how amazing rationality is. I'm a humanist. The Humanist Manifesto where reason's going to solve our problems. So in one sense, they're going to use rationality to illuminate them. But then when it comes to their little political project, all of a sudden, no one can know anything. No one even knows what a female is. No one knows what a male is. And there's no possible way you could ever know the difference between the two. I mean, I'm staring at an elephant's hand, and what could it be? I mean, it could be felt. It could be stone. It could be a vampire's tongue. I don't know what it is. No, it's an elephant's hand. That's what it is. It's just ridiculous. It's absurd. It's absurd on its face. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And it's absurd because I have 28 years of irrational experience that proves otherwise. And you could just go out. Like, I remember reading this one headline when, I don't know, they swapped the sex roles for ballet or something, and they tried to have the females pick up the males, and one male fell, and the female almost broke her neck. It's awful stuff. Just really terrible stuff. And that's another thing where they go, oh, you're not actually attracted to women. You're attracted to secondary sex characteristics. Because apparently those are completely detached, isolated, and separated from the actual person itself. I had no idea. I was only attracted to secondary sex characteristics and not my girlfriend or women more broadly. That's amazing how that works out. So that's a quick example for the left doing. Now, for the right, they do it too, but they have, what I've noticed, maybe not so much nowadays, but maybe in the Bush era, they have a religious element to it. Actually, I take that back. They do it nowadays because they've been returning back to their biblical mythology, but the right does it too. Where on one hand, they'll use logic to defend one aspect of the Bible, and then let's be real. Let's be real. They'll use one piece of logic to defend one aspect of the Bible that attacks the left or it attacks non-Christians. Then, when you point them out, hey, you're supposed to be living by rule X and you are living by Y and not by X, all of a sudden, we got new logic, baby. That old logic that we used to attack you that should be applied to us, nah. All of a sudden, we've got exceptions. Oh, isn't that amazing? We've got exceptions. That's incredible. Or another example with the right, because they're so big on loyalty, if you point out blatant hypocrisy and blatant inconsistency. Think of your pastor who preaches against gay people and then gets caught with the dude. Think about Glenn Greenwald. I'll never forget this. Glenn Greenwald is, I don't care about this at all. He's a homosexual man. He got caught with some tape with his lover. I don't particularly care. But The same people who said that if a blue-haired, fat leftist did this, it's literally satanic and the end of Western civilization. Because we agree with Glenn on other issues that are internationally related, all of a sudden, we can't find the degeneracy. All of a sudden, we've got blinders on. Because when it goes to the left, they've got 20/20 vision, baby. You're degeneracy, you're satanic. When the exact same thing happens to their guys, hey, all of a sudden we're the blind. We're three blind mice just kind of walked around. Oh, I can't see anything. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. You see in politics all the time. I would argue that 99% of our political conversations are deficient logic. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so that's political, so let's get apolitical. This could be pretty much anything, right? So this could be maybe you have like a friend or a brother or a sister or a teacher or whoever, and I'm just making stuff up now. I'm not thinking of anyone in my personal life. But maybe you have like a sister and she's always trying, normally she's a pretty bright person and normally she's, I don't know, just kind of well adjusted. And then all of a sudden when it's time to go to Aunt Christina's house or I don't know, or when it's time for you to do chores at your dad's house, she has different logic, right? So like all of a sudden, no, we're not splitting chores 50-50, and you're the one who has to do it, and I can't do it, and I have certain roles, and you have certain roles. Oh, but also I don't have roles in this area, and you have roles in that area. It's just very inconsistent stuff, right? When people who Monday through Saturday claim, I love X, I love X, I love X, and then you say, okay, well, if you love X, can you do X? No, because of Y, right? So they're lazy, or they're bored, or they don't want to be there, and they're just kind of rationalizing everything since. I'm sure you've noticed this in your personal life when it's very clear that a friend, sister, brother, whoever is just trying to get you over to their pre-rational opinion, I guess, if you want to call it that, their pre-rational intuition or propensity, and they will say whatever they need to say just to get you there. You know that in this moment they are being hyper-rational in a deficient way, hyper-pre-rational in a deficient way when they're normally logical. It's very, very, very frustrating. There's also a moral element too. This pisses me off even more than the political element. It's when people say, this is my reason for morals, these are my principles, under no circumstances will I sort of negate them. Great, okay. And then when your friend, it's kind of like when I was talking about the right, when your friend or when you engage in that exact act, all of a sudden we've become Kant and we're just being hyper rational and we're taking what you're saying and we're dividing it. So nothing has any meaning anymore. It's kind of like my elephant's hand example. Oh, I don't know what I'm looking at. It's when people pretend to be dumb because they know what you're saying destroys what they're saying, so they just pretend not to know anything. It's very frustrating. And then all of a sudden when it's an enemy or it's another person who did something wrong, all of a sudden we've got 20/20 vision. We can see good and evil perfectly. It's amazing how that works out. Very frustrating, very frustrating. So that's sort of the differences between efficient and deficient logic. I'm not going to go into too many examples. Again, this is kind of freestyling. I think I don't need to go into too many examples because you're all smart people. You all live in the world. You all see this all the time. Salesmen, your boss is just saying whatever to get you to do what he wants. It's very frustrating. So, and winning an argument. That's another. Winning an argument for the sake of winning an argument, rather than winning an argument because you're standing up for truth, you're trying to do the right thing, you're defending someone. No, you're just winning an argument just for your ego's sake or because you're really just want to get people to do what your pre-rational intuition says they should do. Very, very, very frustrating. So, I think that'll be all for today. Please let me know in the comments when people do this, if it pisses you off. It pisses me off all the time. Very frustrating. I think it's very destructive, too, because no one can understand any... Again, I always say this with the rationalists. On one hand, they view themselves, the people who do this, as being like hyper intelligent, hyper knowledgeable, and just having a stronger degree of correspondence to reality. At the same time, they don't even know what basic words means because they just rationalize everything away. And why are they doing that in the first place? Because they're using rationality as a tool of their ego. Either they don't want to be seen to themselves or by others to lose an argument, they have some political motivation or some maybe religious motivation, or they're just a dick or whatever. The point is, now that you've rendered rationality transparent, and now that you're no longer a rationalist, but you've transcended into 4D space-time irrationality, call it what it is. Don't let these people do it. Say, no, I'm not going to argue with you because it's very obvious you're motivated by your pre-rational and irrational faculties. You're not being honest. You're being disingenuous. And I'm not going to argue with you because you're very clearly using rationality as a tool to obscure rather than illuminate. And I see it 1,000 miles away. And frankly, I don't care if you don't respect it. I don't care if you think I'm a pseudo-intellectual. I think you're being dishonest. You need to have the courage to say that to people who you know are employing rationality maliciously just so you can do the chores at home, just so you can babysit your kids, just so you can pay your mom $5,000 and not them, even though it's their turn to support your mom. Don't do that. Don't let people do that. Don't let people take advantage of you. It's wrong, and hey, you don't have to fall for it anymore, because guess what? That which is considered true by rational thought is no longer exclusively true. I love you guys. I will see you soon. You're the best. Thank you.